this special edition of the Boob Tube Buddies podcast, the first episode of our marathon podcasting session of Netflix's Luke Cage, entitled Moment of Truth. To get in on the conversation, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Reddit, all that. Just search Boob Tube Buddies. We'll be live tweeting the entire marathon throughout the day, so make sure you check us out on Twitter. And you can also email us at boobtubebuddies@gmail.com. Please rate us on iTunes. It's the number one way you can support our show, and we'd really appreciate it. I'm Adam Foxman, sitting across from Mathis Coos. What's going on, Mothman?
Oh my goodness, it's such a momentous occasion right now.
It is bizarre looking you in the eye while we're talking.
So most people that listen to our show probably don't realize this. I mean, I think we've made a few passing mentions, but we usually do it through Skype.
Yeah, we record
like
remotely.
20 miles away from each other, so to actually see his face is kind of weird.
It's very weird. I want to be like the character on Luke Cage and throw on shades the entire time.
Yeah. That way you don't have to look me in the eye as we throw shade at each other.
No,
right. Oh man, good. So we just watched episode 1 of Luke Cage on launch day. It was fucking sweet.
Yeah, very, very good. Before we get into it, are there any note-keeping things? I know first off we want to shout out Bear Trap Fitness, which is a podcast that I met through the podcasting subreddit.
Nice.
And first off, they shouted us out on their episode. It's great. Basically, it's like a personal fitness sort of thing, and I know both of us are very into fitness, sitting across from each other, burping and farting. But no, it's a great podcast. It's a guy from Philadelphia who I'm pretty sure is a personal trainer, and he's just very knowledgeable about it. It's entertaining, has a good flow to it, and it's a really interesting podcast. So again, that's Bear Trap Fitness, and I would recommend that everybody check it out.
I wonder if we start listening religiously, if by the end of Luke Cage we'll both be super svelte.
Oh yeah, maybe we could audition for season 2.
Yeah, we could have some Bear Trap Fitness testimonials. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Should we go ahead and talk Audible real quick before we get into the middle of everything?
Let's just do like a little thing in the middle of the
somewhere in there.
Yeah. Do you have notes for whatever you're going to? We're going to live do it instead of cutting. Okay, very good. So let's just start off with the opening theme, which, by the way, anybody who's catching this episode early will not hear the Luke Cage theme that Mathis is going to come up with, but after a couple of days, we're probably just going to insert that into the episode. So if you're listening more than a few days after this comes up, you probably heard our sweet take on it, which past me, which you're listening to right now, has not heard, which future me will.
Yeah, oh man, my mind's blown right now. But I will say the theme song is fucking sweet. It actually has a melody, so after doing the Outcast theme song and the American Horror Story theme song, which is basically just like industrial machinery sounds. Yeah, it's a little bit easier to work with, but all in all, like actually the soundtrack throughout the show I love, because it definitely feels like a blaxploitation throwback. It's a lot of like kind of retro sounds, but it also feels modern, you know?
Yeah. My favorite part is during the sex scene when the music comes on, because it's just sounds like it's like stereotypical like 70s porno music.
Yeah, I mean they have a little bit of restraint because you don't have the wah going on. You don't have the wow.
Yeah,
but you still have like the funky bass and everything. So
yeah, for
it's
sure.
Definitely some love making music.
Yeah, that is cool. That's gonna really lend itself to the type of music that we do for the intro. So that'll be awesome. But
absolutely.
All right, let's hop into Pop's Barbershop in Harlem, which is the first set scene here.
Yeah, and you have Luke Cage, who's a barbershop janitor by day. And as we learn later, by night he does dishes at a nightclub. So he's really not doing the whole superhero thing.
Not yet.
And this follows, we talked about in the primer, this is an undisclosed amount of months after the events of Jessica Jones.
Yes.
So I think with all that, he's kind of trying to stay out of trouble, keep his head down low.
Yeah, and I'm interested to kind of see how that plays out, because there's no throwbacks to any of the Jessica Jones stuff in this entire episode, right? I didn't catch a single one.
I mean, he doesn't say anything explicitly, but I think at one point he just, like him and Pops have conversations that are just talking about him not wanting to be overly ambitious and do other things and put himself out there.
Okay, and maybe that's because of his bar getting destroyed.
Yeah, because Pops makes some kind of talk about him making more money than just sweeping floors.
Yeah, and he basically says, what if my ambition is sweeping floors?
Yeah, at this point, because I think he's on the bar, he's had this, whatever happened. And then obviously you also see him get offered money by Cottonmouth at some point, which obviously wouldn't be going for that, but he's really just trying to keep his head down low and stay out of it. Can
we talk about the barbershop conversation where they're talking about, the Knicks, Pat Riley, Phil Jackson?
My goodness.
And literally at one point he's like, yeah, but they soft now. Like those 90s Knicks with Charles Oakley and Patrick Ewing, they were hard in the paint. Which for anybody who's new to the show,
so good.
I make fun of Mathis because he's not a sports guy at all. And I love basketball. But Mathis at one point said sick in the paint, which I made fun of him for. Like, that's something that somebody would say that doesn't know about basketball. And like, that's just like... But they literally said hard in the paint, so I mean, fuck me, I guess.
Right. Yeah, we were reviewing Stranger Things, and I was trying to be, a little more sportsmanlike for Foxman. I made that comment, and it was just like crickets. I don't even think he knew what I was talking about. I was like, it's a sports reference, and he just gave me the hardest time. And then to have this very realistic barbershop talk say that. And that was almost the only thing I understood out of their entire basketball conversation.
Yeah, because they're talking about like all these great players, coaches, things like that. And I just look over at Mothman, and we're a minute into the show, and he's glazed over. Yeah.
I actually fell asleep for the first 15 minutes of the show. Oh man! So that was very rewarding. Outside of what happens here, Pops has a no profanity sign. You already get the idea that he's trying to be a positive influence on the youth that comes in there and gets haircuts.
Yeah, they have the swear jar.
Yeah, there's the swear jar.
You made the joke of how much would we have to throw in after the first fucking episode?
Yeah, exactly. By the end of this episode, if we tallied it up, we'd be bankrupt. Yeah. And so you get that. There's some confrontation between this kid that's getting his haircut and kind of has a smart mouth. He's giving Luke Cage a hard time for just sweeping floors. Almost gets into a fight, to which Luke is much bigger.
He bows up to him.
He kind of wises up. And then after that, some mom comes in to pick up her son from getting a haircut, and that MILF is all over Luke Cage.
Oh, yeah. She drops her number on him, and she's, you get a couple of things. Like, she's related to one of the kids. I think she's the mother of one of the kids in there, perhaps.
Yeah, she comes in, it's like, it's time to go, and the kid literally doesn't move, but also Pops is still sweeping off the hair off his shoulders, and she's like, do I have to repeat myself? So she's and
is that kid is not the one who dies later, but is the other partner in crime with the other guy who's sitting down, right?
Well, the kid she picks up, I don't think we see ever again.
Oh, really?
But the kid that's getting in an argument with Luke, then is hitting on the mom, and is like, man, she has a briefcase. What's she doing going after a guy with a broom? He's the one that's involved.
But with another guy.
Maybe that is him. But he looked really young. He looked like he was like 14.
I think that I think he's supposed to be in like mid-late teens. And I think that he is the other guy who actually goes, not the one who gets shot, because that's the bartender who we don't actually see until later, I'm pretty sure.
I guess we'll see. I find it weird now then that they didn't have, because they introduced the mom. Yeah. And have him give a number, like you'd think they'd have a follow-up where she's distraught that her son's dead.
He's not the one who's dead. He's the other one. So there's three guys. One is the bartender, who is not in this scene.
Yes.
But it's the one who Luke Cage eventually has to step in for. Yes. Okay. Then you have the kid who kind of bows up to him. He's the main one. He gets his ass beat and gets killed later in this episode. Spoiler.
Yeah.
And then the third one lives. Like, two of them live.
But that's like the white dude.
He's not white.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure.
He's not black.
I thought he was black.
All right, I guess we're going to have to save this for the next one and see what happens.
Okay, yeah. All right, yeah, but another thing that happens here is 7 minutes and 30 seconds into the episode, we get our first Power Man reference.
Yeah, so Pops calls him Power Man. He then lifts the dishwasher, washing machine one-handed just to get a piece of paper out from under it. And so you realize that Pops may be the only person at this point in the show that has any knowledge of his prior life and what was done to him and his powers.
Yeah. And you get your first real light glimpse in it, because Luke says, something about being framed and put into a tank and given abilities. And, and about him being a fugitive, too.
Mm-hmm. And which that's kind of, I think, also aftermath of Jessica Jones. So there's these small mentions that they're not mentioning the show, they're not doing anything overt, that you're like, what's kind of happened in these last few months? The other thing I think is nice about it is we've talked about on Outcast and other shows how it's just such a pet peeve when people don't communicate.
Yeah.
And like, it's just like, quit beating around the bush, tell them what's going on. So I could see if they didn't let us know that Pops knew early on, there'd be a lot of coded language that you'd just be like, wait, this is annoying. Why, like, he's your best friend.
To just
tell
lay
him.
it out, to just serve up some of the information through a conversation. Wow. Like, how nice
amazing.
does that feel?
Absolutely.
Okay, so there's just a couple other little mini scenes that we don't have to get too much into, but you pointed it out in like the scene where he's walking on the street and the guy's bootlegging.
Yeah, there's a dude selling bootlegs in New York, which is like a known thing, whether it's purses or DVDs or whatever, but it's not movies he's selling. It's like HD news footage from the attack in New York, which is from the first Avengers movie.
Yeah, which is very cool. And actually, there's a lot of little callbacks, like the guns that they're buying later are from Justin Hammer,
which is Iron Man 2.
Yep, which is played by Sam Rockwell.
Mm-hmm. And then there's also Maria Dillard, who we haven't met at this point in the episode, mentions what happened with Fisk. So now they're also referencing a fellow. It's all one cinematic universe, but the Netflix stuff kind of has its own universe, but it's a lot darker, a lot grittier. They're the ones that a little more directly correlate with like the Night Nurse and those things.
Yes.
So we get our first reference to that type of stuff as well, which is exciting.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. And that was just kind of like a funny little scene. The other part you get on that is that Luke Cage is behind on rent, which, I mean, poor dude, he's working 2 freaking jobs, like working nonstop and can't even afford to pay his rent. Like, living in New York's a bitch, right?
Absolutely. The rent is too damn high. I don't know if anyone remembers that guy running.
Yeah. What is his name?
I don't remember, but he looked like a black Colonel Sanders.
Yeah, he's got that really sweet facial hair.
And I will say, this election season, I would have voted for him.
Yeah.
Given our choices.
I wonder what the audio is going to sound like on your, the rent is too damn high.
Yeah.
I wonder how loud that's going to pop.
It'll be great.
Yeah, you should have slammed your fist down.
Yeah, then just
everything just falls out.
Yeah, it sounds like we're in an earthquake.
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay, so this is, after this, our first introduction to the club in Harlem. There's a cool R&B act, and this is where you first get Remy Danton, whose name is actually Cornell, but... Cornell Stokes, yes, which a lot of people call him Cottonmouth, which apparently he doesn't like that nickname.
Yeah, so Cottonmouth is the main villain name from the comics, which up until the show premiered, like all the information, he was just billed as the like Cornell Stokes or whatever.
Yeah.
But now you're hearing people refer to him as that, and you've had some of his henchmen say like, "Don't call him that; it'll get you in trouble."
Yeah, exactly. He obviously really doesn't like it, and I did actually really like the music that's playing, and you can tell like he has an ear for music. He talks about it. There's the scene later. I'm just going to mention it now so we don't have to go into it, but the weird kind of scene where he's playing the piano and like getting all into it, the sexy shading, and then there's like the 2 half-naked ladies like lounging behind him.
I love that he's playing, I think it's a Rhodes, it might be a Wurlitzer, but there's like 2 old school electric pianos that have this really signature sound.
Yeah.
And I've used emulations of both of them in all of our theme songs
so
that's
far. Cool. Nice.
Because it's kind of like that jazzy era, and that's what he's jamming on, but it plays heavily into a lot of the background music throughout the show.
Sure.
You know?
Okay, well,
so it's a modern show, but it feels like everything's kind of a throwback without it feeling like, I don't know, like a retro emulation or something.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I did like that sound too, but so you're getting a couple of scenes that are getting spliced together here. So that's where you see Cornell Stokes / Cottonmouth, but Luke Cage is actually moonlighting there as a dishwasher. Like that's his night job. And then the manager comes in. You find out that he's getting paid under the table, and they're behind on paying him. Which kind of becomes a common theme. He talks to the guy like he needs his money. He's behind on rent. Like
he's like, yeah, you get paid under the table, which means I pay you when I damn well please.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then the guy says, well, you know, the bartender, who we later find out is the one who gets killed in this gun deal gone awry sort of thing.
Yes.
But the bartender's out. They need Luke Cage to sub in. He puts on like the basically fat guy
in a little coat. Yeah.
He's not.
No, just like built guy in a little coat. Yeah.
But he fills that thing out pretty good, and he goes out, and the guy's like, "Well, keep your tips on this one at the very least, so you can go home with some money."
Yeah, sure. So he's doing that. He's at the bar, as you see, like it's basically all bar footage where you're seeing him bartend. He meets Misty Knight for the first time.
Yeah.
He's hitting on her, but he's also like not the charmer, because I think more than anything, it seems like he thinks she's interested in Cottonmouth, and he's trying to spare her because he knows she's like the Cottonmouth's trouble.
He says, I think you're a little old for him.
Yeah, so he makes 2 references to being old while also saying that she's beautiful. But, she's just like, yeah, you're not getting a tip. Yeah. But ultimately, you get by the end of it, like, all he's really trying to do is he thinks she's after Cottonmouth. He knows Cottonmouth's trouble. Let's spare, someone at this point. And then alternately, you see the gun deal go bad. These 3 kids interrupt it. Instead of the people perpetrating the gun deal just putting their hands up, putting their guns down, and retreating, of course, one of them goes for their gun to make a shot, at which point one of them trigger happy. They kill all the guys. It's a pretty, sweet scene. Pretty violent and brutal.
Yeah, definitely blood flying everywhere.
But then within, a minute of it being over, one dude's throwing up, which is Dante. Yeah. And he's just like, this is not, we brought guns, but there shouldn't have been anyone killed. Kind of typical, small-time crime type thing going wrong or whatever. Yeah. So the one dude that we've seen earlier getting a confrontation with Luke just decides to shoot Dante.
Yeah, just because now he's the weak link. So, but we find out later he doesn't actually kill him, and the guy goes and spills some information, which is actually what leads to Cornell Stokes / Cottonmouth sending his henchmen out to pick up this one guy, and then he beats him mercilessly. That's the scene where he gets coated in blood later.
Yeah, which we saw in the trailer, and I was wondering, how many episodes in do we get to see before Cottonmouth loses it? And it's 3/4 of the first one. Yeah, which was pretty sweet.
Yeah, so he's soaked in blood, but that's a little bit later on. But yeah, he gets soaked in blood. They end up dumping the guy's body. But yeah, like you said, Luke is talking to this girl at the bar, which is Misty Knight, and she's not going to give him a tip, but he's going to give her one. Yes. And not just the tip.
Nope, the whole 9 yards or whatever it might be. Before we get there is a scene where Stokes is upstairs and he is conversing with Maria Dillard, who's a councilwoman, which has a big part in this episode. She has a
real estate project.
She has News Time where she's talking about Harlem being a gem in the crown jewel of black culture, and for Black Lives to matter, Black history and culture have to matter too. And she's just pitch perfect on camera with this message. This is following what we've seen with the gunfight and all these other things. Yeah. But even from the first interaction with Stokes, you get the idea that she's crooked. You also get some kind of idea that they're related. She seems more on the up and up than him. He uses the N-word, to which he says, I don't like that word. Yeah, she talks about...
And more on the up and up is definitely a relative term here, because she is in bed with him on this. Absolutely. We find out that she lent him the money out of what were federal funds to build up this club, and he needs to pay her back before she gets audited, or else they're going to get found out. Yeah. Which is why he was stressed about this gun deal. But then later on, we kind of find out, maybe he masterminded the guy. I know we're kind of jumping out of turn here, but that's actually the beauty of us doing it right afterwards, because we're a little bit fresher on the episodes. We kind of find out maybe he masterminded it, or maybe he didn't. I don't know. It was very unclear, actually, by the end to me. Did you think that he did mastermind it?
I felt like... it was an inside job. What the impression I got was that he had the hammer deal was his deal, and that these other people interrupted it. Okay. And then they let him know, and he was pissed.
Okay, I was just a little confused by the conversation between the kid that ends up getting killed that actually perpetrated the first one to pull the trigger at the thing, when he is walking with the henchmen through the kitchen, and they're talking about it. They're talking about it as the. And maybe it's just because they've pulled him in and he's got this, so he knows he has to just be upfront and honest about it. But something about the tone of that conversation made me wonder if maybe Cottonmouth had more to deal with that side of it than was originally reported.
And the only reason I wasn't getting that is because he, Shades looks at, takes his glasses off. Shades, by the way, we get introduced early on because Luke Cage has a. We're jumping all over here, but essentially...
That's fine. There's no need.
Yeah, so Misty Knight and Luke Cage hit it off. They leave the bar. He makes one more remark about her trying to get with Cottonmouth, to which he just walks past her. She asks him to coffee. He says, I don't like coffee. She says, me neither, which is code for we're going to go fuck. Yeah. So then they have this, this hot, steamy graphic sex scene. Graphic for, Marvel universe.
Yeah, right? Yeah. He had his big old meaty paws all over her haystacks. It was.
She sucked his nipple, which was weird to see.
Also weird to watch with your adult male friend next to each other at 9 a.m.
Yeah. Best part of waking up is.
Oh God!
Anyway.
Nipples in your mouth.
Yeah, exactly. So at that point, the thing that's interesting, because you said auditing, right? Like he's being audited and all that, is she tells Luke that she's an auditor, yet after what's his name, Stokes beats the guy to death that stole the money and leaves him in the street, you now realize she's a crime scene investigator.
Yeah, but you actually even see her before that at the first crime scene, which
where
is the gun
shootout happens, right? So anyway, after like the next morning, he has a bad dream, and it has Shades to do with it.
Yeah, so it happens at the Seagate prison.
Yeah, so then Shades is actually brought in as a character, and he goes and meets with Cottonmouth. Shades works for Diamondback, which is another Luke Cage villain.
Yes.
So it's kind of like Diamondback seems like the big head honcho, and then Cottonmouth isn't small fry, but he's like a level below.
You know, if they're going to have all these snake names and they were going to talk about basketball players in the beginning, they could have mentioned, because they're talking about all the greats, they could have mentioned Black Mamba, which is Kobe Bryant's nickname.
They could have.
Why wouldn't they?
Ridiculous.
If they're already going to talk so much basketball and they're going to talk so much snake shit like this, why wouldn't they mention Black Mamba? It's such an easy tie-in.
That's true. It's true.
Hey, Netflix, get me on your writing team.
Seriously,
yeah. I'm sick in the paint.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, Shades takes his glasses off and asks Cottonmouth to look him in the eye and tell him this wasn't an inside job, and he says it wasn't. And so then when the guy is brought in and beaten to death, Shades is there. So what I feel like was happening was there was a not a legit deal, but basically a deal, money for guns, which he's using the money from the government, from Maria Dillard, which is not on the up and up. She even says you're turning legitimate money into illegitimate money.
And the guns are Diamondbacks, like he gets them somehow from the Hammer Corporation.
Yeah. So these three guys that I think just because they work at the club and know stuff's going on, try to get in on a piece of it. Because I think Cottonmouth was already going to make plenty of money from it, right? And
he was,
Diamondback. So then once they find out who it is, and the reason they find out is because Dante doesn't die immediately from the gunshot. He actually calls one of the guys that works for Cottonmouth and spills the beans and dies. Okay, so that's why they bring this guy in, beat the shit out of him, and Shades is in the room. So if there is another level of deceit here, it's implied. It's not like absolutely happening.
The other character that we haven't mentioned here is Domingo, who is like kind of like a rival gang sort of guy, but he is working together with Cottonmouth, and you meet him for the first time upstairs. He comes in halfway through the meeting that Cottonmouth has with the councilwoman, and he is the other person who is in on this gun deal. So they got, Cottonmouth gets the guns from Diamondback, and now he's selling them to Domingo, but then it goes awry. And this is supposed to be the first part of their like deal together.
Yeah, their flourishing partnership.
Yeah, exactly. So not off to a great start so far.
No. So that's the meat of this story. Kind of revolves around what any pilot would, right? And
during that scene, that's when Cottonmouth offers Luke Cage a job as an enforcer, which he turns down.
Yes. So when Luke Cage is bartending, some woman says, "I need to bring 6 bottles of Ace of Spades or something upstairs," and I don't like going up there alone because it's where the highbrow clientele with money is, which probably means they get grabby, and then like the moment someone gets on their ass, they hand them a few $100, right?
Yeah, and one of the dudes actually was looking her up and down, all sketchy up there.
So Luke goes up there, offered an enforcer job, turns it down. But throughout this episode, we meet him, we meet Pops, we meet Misty Knight, and then we don't meet Diamondback, but we kind of get introduced to, I think, what'll be all the main pieces throughout the show.
Yes.
And the other thing I wanted to mention was how brutal the scene was when Cottonmouth kills that kid.
Yeah, because you mention the Biggie photo too?
Yeah, so he has a Notorious B.I.G. photo, which we first see when he's playing the piano.
Yeah.
But then he's standing in front of the portrait. He's like, "You like my Biggie photo?" "Yeah, I like it too. No, it draws the eye, the crown. You want to know why?" And he walks perfectly up enough to where now his face is entirely Biggie's face, and you just see the crown on Cottonmouth's head.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, it's a great shot, to which he says, "Because everyone wants to be the king." But then he immediately insults the dude's like, "I want you to tell me where my money is, and I'm going to slap you like a bitch. I don't use closed fists on a woman." Which you already get, you realize Cottonmouth's the villain, but you get like how despicable he is pretty early on. Because he's talking about like he obviously hits women just, with an open fist because he's a nice guy.
Yeah, class act.
Yeah, but by the end of it, he just brutally beats this kid to death, and you realize he's dead because he gets left in the street later.
Yeah. And yeah, it is just a cool scene. The lighting's awesome. The way that the shot is framed is cool. The fact that you don't know who he's actually hitting at first because of where the camera angle is coming from. You almost have like the point of view of the dude getting his ass beat, sort of.
Yeah.
That was a great framing.
Yeah, the only implication was right before you see him that guy getting walked into the through the kitchen and being told not to call him Cottonmouth. And that's also when Shades walks in and Luke Cage makes eye contact and immediately realizes the guy that was beating him in Seagate.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Okay, yeah.
But then you're like, wait, is this him beating that guy? What's going on? But yeah, it's a pretty sweet scene.
You want to throw to the Audible ad real quick, and then
Absolutely.
we can get into a quick game?
Yeah, so
it's funny, we're really all over the place.
Whatever.
I mean, yeah, this is the way to do it. But yeah, we normally we start with the game, but I mean, I really just wanted to get into this. Like, we just watched it.
We're giddy. It's fun.
But yeah, so go ahead and throw to the Audible ad.
So real quick for Audible, so I don't have a pre-program ad because I actually have something to recommend. So I've mentioned once upon a time, early on, I was listening to a book called Post-Capitalism. I finally finished it. And right at the same time, a book called Jerusalem came out. So Jerusalem is the second novel from Alan Moore. If you're into comics, you'll know Alan Moore. Even if you're not into comics, you'll probably know his work because he's a prolific comic writer who kind of changed the industry in the 80s and still does stuff today. But
even I know him, and I'm not a comic book guy.
And the reason most people know him, even if they don't know his name, is because even though he hates people adapting his stuff and won't even take money for it, they've made From Hell into a movie. They've made Watchmen into a movie. They've made V for Vendetta into a movie. And they've made League of Extraordinary Gentlemen into a movie.
Yeah, wow.
And he's done a lot more than just those. So he never takes any money for it. He's not interested.
Is he associated with Hellboy?
No.
Okay,
no.
Gotcha.
He is actually the reason I first tried Hellboy, though, because the first trade paperback of Hellboy back in like 98 had a blurb on the back from Alan Moore saying how great it was.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Ties in that way.
Yeah.
But anyway, Alan Moore wrote a novel a long time ago called Voice of the Fire, which I also recommend. It's each chapter fast forwards a few decades. So the very first chapter is actually cavemen, and it's like caveman dialect and very difficult, but by the end of it, you're in modern English. But his new book, he's been working on it for a decade. Its first draft was 1 million words, and the audiobook is 60 hours. The reviews that have come out say it's just like one of the best books of the century, like a masterpiece. He's been working on it very, very long time. The great thing about our Audible trial, audibletrial.com/Boob Tube Buddies, is you get to try Audible for free. This book is an amazing bang for your buck. I think it's like a $38 audio book on its own because it's 60 hours.
Wow, and which you will get for free with the www.audibletrial.com/Boob.
Yes, so you try it free for 30 days, you get a credit to start to pick a book, and this book actually works for one of those. And I'm going to start it this week, but just knowing his pretty much flawless record in comics and his other novel, I'm super excited about it, so I figured I'd actually give a real testimonial of a book we like as opposed to a book with a funny title.
Yeah. Which, by the way, stay tuned for the rest of our Luke Cage marathon where we talk about books with funny titles.
Or have songs about Audible, which is great. I mean, it's a great service, but there's only so many books we can listen to and actually legitimately talk about listening to.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, if you listen to the Westworld primer, I did one that was not necessarily a joke. It was the princesses behaving badly.
Yes.
And it's really cool. Like that Olga from Kiev, like that's actually an amazing, real, true story about one of the most badass women in history.
Absolutely.
And a total, like, brutal fucking bitch. But
yeah, like badass, like Emily Bathory, like just a crazy that this person existed, like Vlad the Impaler. Not that you'd want to have a beer with him or anything.
No, exactly, yeah. Okay, you ready to jump into our first game?
Oh my goodness, I am.
Okay, I got this. All right, so I'm going to lead this one. It is... You all right, buddy?
Yes.
I know you're a little bit sick.
Yeah.
But you know what? You sound good. You're not cracking yet, but we're on
I took a soft day yesterday. Like, I went home from work early. I relaxed. I didn't talk much, so I'm ready for this.
We'll see how you're doing by episode 4 today.
Yeah.
My name is Mathis.
Yeah.
Okay, so this game is entitled Nick Cage or Luke Cage.
Oh my god, that's the best. Oh, I love it.
Okay.
I love both of these things.
All right, so, and I think that you're actually going to do really well with this. I wouldn't be shocked if you got all of them right, and if you do, I'll just give you some basic punishments. But, okay, so the very first one, and it's just a true or false. Nick Cage got his stage name from Luke Cage. True or false?
False.
It's actually true.
Really?
That's where the Cage came from. Yeah, he wanted to kind of break off from the Coppola name.
I knew he changed the Coppola name.
Yeah,
I didn't realize it was because of that.
Yes. Pretty awesome. Okay, awesome.
That's amazing.
So you get punished here. Okay, here's your scenario. You're a young Nick Cage, and you have to tell your uncle, Francis Ford Coppola, that you're dropping the Coppola surname so that you can make your own legacy. And so you have to do the voice.
I'm trying to think of what his voice sounds like when he's not yelling. Because that's
if you
primarily what he does. I am scooting back just for it. Like, so Uncle Francis, I really appreciate everything you've done for me, but I just can't be associated with the name, because I'm a kindred spirit, and I need my own name!
Oh, no.
I need my own name, and I'm going to go Cage!
Oh, God.
That's the best I can do.
All right, very good, very good.
Seriously, look up, I don't know if anyone ever saw this. I'm sure it's on the Team Coco website, but for the longest time, Conan had an ongoing joke where instead of the color-coded alert system for the U.S. danger, high alert, red alert for terrorism, blah blah blah, he would have different levels of Nick Cage just losing it, and he would just depending on what it is, threat level red on one of the jokes was him screaming about bees in the Wicker Man remake, which is absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize until juxtaposed together how he essentially loses it in everything he ever has done.
Oh, definitely. That is his go-to.
That's just his go-to?
Yeah.
Especially now that, tax evasion, because I like Luke Cage. I like Nick Cage.
Yeah.
But the last decade after the tax evasion stuff, it's obviously just takes anything.
Yeah.
Whereas early 2000s, you actually had a lot of good movies, adaptation, Lord of War, Matchstick
For sure.
Men.
Love all those.
But yeah. Okay. That was great.
Number 2.
Oh, God, there's more.
Yes, there are 3 total, so we'll breeze through them. But, okay, so which of the following names did Nicolas Cage give to his son? It's just one. But there are 5 choices, so which one is Nick Cage's son's actual name? Okay, A, Luke, B, Logan, C, Xavier, D, Kal-El, or E, Reed?
Kal-El. He's a big Superman fan, yeah.
Yes, okay, Gotcha. Okay, very good, nice job. So we don't have to do the punishment there. You earned a pass.
Yeah, I think there was even a story at one time when he was going through a divorce with his wife that he had to basically sell off his giant Superman collection. He was super upset.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Okay, he also, I don't know if you've seen the screenshots. If you haven't, folks, definitely check them out. Or the pictures. He was tied to a Tim Burton version of Superman once upon a time.
Yeah.
And there's
a screenshot.
There's
awesome.
a photo of him in the outfit with long hair. It's just super silly. And if you've ever watched Evening with Kevin Smith, if you haven't watched the first one, there's actually a story because Kevin Smith did a draft of that script, and he just talks about the producer making basically the producer said, I really want there to be a giant spider, a mechanical spider in the movie, and it's a much funnier joke than this, but what it boiled down to is Kevin eventually quit, the movie dissolved, and that producer's next movie was Wild Wild West.
I was just gonna say that sounds familiar.
With William Smith with a giant mechanical spider, so that guy got his fucking his wish.
Nice.
I swear producers in Hollywood are just kids.
Yeah. Anyway. Just living out whatever their little fantasies are.
Yeah.
Okay, so last one, and switching gears a little bit, but every episode from Luke Cage derives its title from a different Gang Starr song, and Gang Starr was an East Coast hip-hop duo from the mid-'80s,
okay.
So every one of those titles that we're going to see is one of their song titles, okay? Which of the following is not the title of an episode, okay?
Okay.
All right. So there's going to be 5 choices here. 4 of them are actual titles of episodes, 1 is not. Okay, A, Moment of Truth, B, Need a Dollar, C, Step in the Arena, D, Hard to Earn, and E, No More Mr. Nice Guy.
So just pick
one that is not the title.
One more time?
A, Moment of Truth, B, Need a Dollar, C, Step in the Arena, D, Hard to Earn, E, No More Mr. Nice Guy.
Step in the Arena?
No, it's Needed a Dollar. That's a song by Aloe Black. Okay, I like that. Did you ever see the HBO show How to Make It in America?
No.
Oh, okay, I really like that show, and the title song is I need a dollar, dollar, dollar is what I need. Hey, hey.
It kind of sounds familiar. I might recognize the song if I heard it.
Yeah, you've probably heard another song or two by him. But anyway, so that's what it was. You ready for your punishment?
Yes.
Rap any song that you know. Just one verse will be fine. Any rap song that you can think of but you have to do it in Nicolas Cage's voice.
I still don't know what Nicolas Cage's voice is.
This is going to be so bad.
And now I'm just trying to think of what rap song I actually know.
Any one that you can think of. I mean, do you know, like, tag team, back again, check it again, now let's begin?
Kind of. I mean, that's whoop, there it is, or whatever.
Okay, do you know...
well, I have one in my head. I'm trying to think of the actual line. But it's kind of a slow rap. God. The 20-inch blades on the Impala? What is that? It's gonna be a... But I have to do it as Nick Cage?
Yeah.
I'm gonna be a shot caller, 20-inch blades on the Impala. Something getting laid tonight. Switch your old tag, got laid by right. I hit the highway. This is so awkward. This is
looking each other in the eye while it's happening.
This is the worst because I have to see the person.
My face is red as it feels.
Yeah. I'm normally just like talking to a computer screen and then don't listen to the podcast and don't re-listen to it. I have to confront it. It's terrible.
Wow, I'm like sweating now over that. That was awful.
Oh, it was awful.
Oh man.
Yeah, I'm actually okay at impressions. I gotta figure out a Luke Cage or a Nick Cage impression.
Yeah, yeah, because that was really bad.
It was.
Okay, very good. So you got 1 out of 3. I actually thought that you'd do better than that, buddy.
Yeah, thanks.
I thought that you would know I thought honestly that you would know the Nick Cage, Luke Cage thing.
And I knew his name was Coppola. He changed it, but I didn't realize he picked that.
Yeah.
And I thought it would be too serendipitous, like that. Anyway.
Okay, so really we just have the last scene, which happens at Genghis Khan's restaurant.
Genghis Khan's, where...
and I think that the owner is his landlady, or landlord, who we saw earlier in the episode.
Or do you think his landlady may be the third person from the gun scene for the drug deal that we were arguing over earlier?
Because I got confused. I got you being funny.
Yeah, maybe that's who it is the whole time.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah, so these people go in that we've seen earlier. Earlier, they were a very intimidating group of men, and they gave Luke some shit, and then handed him a pamphlet for
Black Power movement.
Well, it was Maria Dollard's thing.
Yes, that is exactly.
Yeah, he gives a flyer for that in a very threatening way. He gives a flyer for that great project in Harlem, right?
Yeah, and the way he's reaching his jacket, that scene looks like he's gonna pull a piece out.
Yeah. So they're in here. They're smashing their, I think it was one of those cats or something.
Excuse me?
Like one of those ceramic cats that you see in
Asian restaurants. I didn't see what it was, but they're smashing the place up a little bit.
Yeah. And they want them to pay for protection. So it's kind of typical...
shakedown.
Typical shakedown, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, I'd hate for something to happen, which is actually... I think that's actually racketeering.
I think so.
The term's actually for.
I have no idea.
It's when I was listening to something because I never knew what it was. Like I just saw people getting charged for it on the news or whatever. But I guess that's when you make something they need, a service they need, right? So you're the reason that they need protection, but you're offering the protection.
Gotcha.
In this case, though, it was like they need you to donate to this this cause.
Yeah.
But then enter Luke Cage.
Yeah. So he walks in and he's like, "I don't like your tone."
Yeah. And he goes, "What the fuck? What do you mean you don't like my tone?" And then he says, like,
something along the lines
of, "You're being rude.
Yeah,
you're disrespectful."
Yeah, you're so rude. But yeah, so basically, he's just telling them like he doesn't like what they're doing here, and then they cut to the one guy who's sitting down over in the corner, who is actually the guy who played Suge Knight in what is it?
Straight Outta Compton.
Straight Outta Compton.
Straight Outta Compton.
Yeah, not straight out the trailer.
Yeah, or it could do it as Luke Cage. Straight Outta Compton.
That's Nick Cage.
Nick Cage. Why do I keep... I'm never going to call him Nick Cage again. I don't think I've got it right once since you...
God, Mathis!
Yeah. That's actually really good.
Yeah, thank you. I was practicing it with Bethany yesterday after I wrote the game, and that right there that I just did was 100 times better than anything. Like, and she was like so embarrassed about my Nick Cage accent.
I feel like now I might have to make one of the punishments for my game be a role play where you're Nick Cage and I'm Christopher Walken.
Oh no! As long as I'm not Christopher Walken.
Yeah.
Everybody can do a Christopher Walken except for me, apparently.
You just like blubber and stutter.
Yeah, I'm not. So anyway, Suge Knight comes over and goes to punch him in the face, and it goes into this cool slow motion thing where his fist hits Luke Cage's face, and just like the wrist snaps, the bone pops
fracture.
Through. Yeah, it was really cool looking scene. And then what happens after that is just a complete fucking ass whipping, really badass.
It's pretty sweet because his hand breaks and the guy just arches over in pain, like doubles over and grabs his wrist, to which he's now in a place where he's like bent over behind Luke. Luke grabs him by the belt and just throws him through the front window, which is fucking sweet. And there's a lot of other cool moves, but I think my other favorite part was when he grabs the gun and he fires it, and Luke just looks like someone flicked him. Yeah. Like he's annoyed. It's not like he didn't feel it at all, but he's just like makes a,
like, and then irritant.
Flips the dude. But needless to say, they fucking take off. And the bullet's
just in his hand smoking afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they go run down he's like, to the last guy who's standing who didn't join in the fray, he's like, you want some? The guy's like, I don't even like those guys anyway. He doesn't say those guys, but I can't say the word that he says.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a soft A, but it's not the hard R.
Yeah, it's something we can't say.
Yeah, exactly.
No matter how many episodes of Luke Cage or the Get Down we watch, it doesn't matter.
So he goes and he talks to the lady and her husband. They want to offer him money and basically like for protection. So this is kind of like the Heroes for Hire sort of throwback, which is
pretty sweet.
A big thing from the comics.
Yeah, Luke Cage's first appearance is Luke Cage Hero for Hire.
Yeah, and it's him and Iron Fist a lot of the times, isn't it?
Yeah, they're main characters in that, and then Misty Knight joins in. So there's this whole Hell's Kitchen team of Heroes for Hire that also are in Harlem and other places. So you're seeing maybe that's where things will go by the end of it.
Yeah, perhaps he does not take the money, but maybe
says, I owe you money.
They call it even Stevens on rent, maybe for a month or something.
And that shattered window.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and the cat. He didn't break the cat.
But you could imagine, all he would have had to do with that guy doubled over is just karate chop his back, and he still would have been knocked out.
Oh, for sure.
Instead, he shattered a window.
Yeah, it was a little excessive, but I guess it would be, your blood gets boiling in those scenarios. Of course, you're not going to be able to show full restraint in a fight.
No, which is actually why I made the comment we were watching that what if, and I knew it wouldn't happen because Misty Knight's a pivotal character, but what if he just accidentally killed her?
During the sex scene? Yeah.
Because the last relationship that we know of he had was Jessica Jones, who had the superpower, and that was they could actually let loose on each other.
Yeah, for sure.
So, anyway, talk about blood boiling.
Yeah.
I can't whistle very well.
Oh my god, what was that?
It's me try. Yeah.
Why don't you just do a Russian accent, too? It's me try.
It's me trying to whistle.
Oh god, sounds like
I really can't whistle when I'm laughing. My lips will purse.
Yeah. But okay, I guess that pretty much wraps on the first episode. It was a really good one. What did you think in general?
I loved it. Everyone's been introduced. I love the score. I thought we got decent development with each character.
Yeah, and no annoying, holding back little pieces of information. They're just giving you what they're giving you.
Yeah, they give you what you give you. You already have some kind of alliances, right? So Luke and Pop are very close, and he knows he has powers. You know that Misty is the law investigating Cottonmouth. Cottonmouth has the Crooked association with Maria Dolliard, and they may be related. Which we'll just let on. If you look on IMDb, it says they're related. I mean...
Oh, okay, sure.
It calls her Stokes. So somehow they related. I don't know what the relationship is or how that'll unfold. But I think it's a very good starting ground. But also, I'm really glad we got, some action in it.
Yes.
I'm glad that last scene had it.
Scene, too. I thought it was an awesome episode. Looking forward to the rest of the marathon. Before we go, again, we are live tweeting the whole thing. Definitely feel free to get involved in the conversation. If you shout us out something, some question, comment, anything like that, we'll make sure that it gets on the air. You can also follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Reddit. Just search Boob Tube Buddies, and you can always just email us a question at boobtubebuddies@gmail.com. And I guess that's pretty much it. You want to put a bow on this bitch?
Absolutely. We will see you in an hour, little buddies.
Yeah.